Welcome to episode 6 of the Rise Up Odyssey podcast. I'm your host, Danny, with my co host, Haley, wearing a different shirt for the first time in 2 weeks, even though it's back to back days. Anyway, today's topic, what are we talking about today? Some hard hitting, fun stuff like bullying. Yeah?
Yep,
Okay.
bullying. Yes. Oh.
And really, do we bully ourselves? But before that, I think you're reading a new book, aren't you?
Well, first, the fear factor or like hard stuff. Basically, we sat here for 15 minutes wondering if it's too late to stick with the topic we originally planned. We had the fear of it not being probably sufficient enough, overthinking it. And then we just said, we're going to do it.
Yes.
But yes, a new book because someone stopped reading theirs. Build for Tomorrow is the book I am reading now, and I don't have it up here with me, so I don't know the author. Do you know the author? Did you look it up?
I did. I
this
had it
this is already
ready.
going. This is already going well, everyone. We're gonna be fine. It is past my bedtime.
Yeah, it is. Jason Pfeiffer?
Okay, yes, we'll go with that. And he wrote Build for Tomorrow. The intro into the first chapter basically talks about the 4 stages of change according to him. Number one is panic. Number two, adapt. Number three, the new normal. And number four, wouldn't go back.
All
So
right.
as I continue to read through that, I will probably find some topics to talk about or keep you guys up to date on how the book goes
Sounds good.
and try to force Danny to read it too.
Did you just start it?
Um, yes, this morning.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You can catch up. It's fine.
Okay. I figured if you were like 100 pages in, that would give me the excuse to not have to do it. But here we are. Since you
Oh,
just started, I might as well just start.
I know better than this. And plus, didn't I just say the only thing I've read so far is the 4 stages of change?
Yeah, but that's in the table of contents too.
Yeah. And I said that's in the intro in the first chapter.
Oh, I see. Listening skills. Listening skills.
Oh, that's for another day.
I'm just so into talking about our main topic. I'm just so excited for it, because it's
Yeah,
so pleasant and wonderful that I really just
am
want to
I
get to it.
am I bullying you right now or what?
Usually, it's what we're, it's what we've experienced for many, many years. That might get clipped.
Just tough love. You used to ask for this. I am not like this all the time anymore.
I think I used to ask for it when you were too nice. Now you're too mean. Now I have to ask you to be nice more days than not.
Is it too mean or just honest?
Honest, but maybe I'm not ready to hear it. That could be it
Also,
too.
as a side note, my day has been a little rough today, so might just have a little pent up stuff in there. It'll
I
be
know.
fine.
You're welcome to take it out on me in the show. It's fine.
Nah, we'll move on.
Well,
So
talking about bullying.
bullying.
Yes.
Yes, yes. All right. So bullying. What is bullying?
Oh, am I supposed to have the Webster's definition pulled up?
Oh, I thought you just have your own definition.
I mean, I do have my own definition, but I like the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Abuse and
Uh-oh.
mistreatment of someone vulnerable by someone stronger, more powerful, etc. The actions and behavior of a bully.
Is there a secondary version?
Yes, there's an adjective definition. Prone to or characterized by overbearing mistreatment and domination of others.
So would you consider it as power tripping?
I think power tripping is a little bit different.
Elaborate.
When I hear of power tripping, I hear of somebody coming in and either not having a good day or just really upset or wanting control of a certain thing. Like I imagine somebody coming in and just basically saying it's my way or the highway.
Okay. And how is that different from bullying?
I would say that that's different because bullying is more one to one, where power tripping is more so one to many, you know?
But where do you believe that bullying is one on one?
I just, every time you think of bullying, do you think of one person beating up like five people, or do you think of one person like beating up one person?
I don't know. There might be different levels of bullying.
Have you ever experienced the latter of one to many?
Um, let's just say I think that we'll discuss this, but I think that can happen sometimes in a specific setting, like a work atmosphere,
Yeah.
where you have someone that comes in and their actions speak louder than words, and they would rather have control or power over the many. And I mean, in a way, that would almost be bullying if it continued and they kept doing it for their benefit
I think we're
because
thinking
they
of the same person. But yes,
because they see you in a weaker position, right? That could be many of us if we're employed by someone, or there's probably other scenarios that I just can't think of at the moment. But I do believe that is bullying based on your definition.
I guess I could see that.
But I
Um,
think, but I do think where you're coming from is a lot that's portrayed in movies, TV shows we've seen, where it's the weaker kid or the weaker individual that's being targeted specifically, and then his friends are also on the same level, so they're not going to stick up for them. But it's still bullying, right?
it is. I mean, workplace bullying, I feel like, is few and far between, you know, maybe just from my experiences. I've seen it once or twice, but I haven't seen it as commonly, you
You
know?
could have it with supervisors, managers, leadership in general, because they can feel as though they're in a higher role, they're more privileged. I don't know. I can't think of the words, but they're in you are under them in the tree per se. So therefore they feel as though they can get away with more. You're kind of stuck in the bottom
Can't
of the
they
totem
though?
pole. Huh?
Can't they though?
What?
Get away with it?
That's what I said. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get away with it. So that's probably why they do it. And also, I mean, to play devil's advocate, it probably got them ahead to do that in the first place.
Potentially, but we don't know. Like here's the thing. I think bullying behaviors start as a kid. And it could come from the home life, it could come from many different things that happen. Um, like I was bullied as a kid. I had things happen to me. I wasn't the most socially outgoing. Uh, and so, I think it was fourth grade. A classmate of mine who I thought was a friend took my paper, crossed my name off, or erased it, and put her own name on there. She got caught, but I don't know what happened. I mean, that's how many years ago. Or on the school bus, there was this girl that gleeked on me and thought it was funny.
Gleeked?
Yeah, you don't know what gleeking is?
No,
It's where you can like make saliva like come out of your throat basically and like sprays out.
that's a
You
thing.
can look it up. Yeah, you can look it up later. But like
Okay.
those are
Huh.
types of bullying, and sometimes you try to overcome that with like kindness and you feel bad for them because they might have a rough background and you've been to their house and you see what they grow up with, but it doesn't make it right.
See, when I got bullied in high school, this might be the more, entertaining story. I didn't solve it with kindness. I solved it by outsourcing to the even bigger kids. So I don't know if I've told you this story, but there's two good examples. One was I was walking in the hallway in high school. This was freshman year, and I was obviously a smaller kid. And one of the bigger you guys decided to book me. Do you know what that is? Where they walk up to you, you're holding all your books in your hand, and they smash them down in front of everyone.
Gotcha.
Uh, so the first thing I did was I went to Big Sasha kid, the even bigger kid, and I was like, "Hey," on the bus while he was drinking a beer, real story. Uh, there was no authority, and I was 15. Yeah, I was 15, and Big Sasha was probably 17. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, um, this kid booked me the other day." He's like, "Who the is that to you? I go beat the," and then he did. So he's like, point him out. I pointed the gentleman out, and he immediately picked him up by his collar, threw him on the ground, and said, "Don't ever do that again," and then spit on him. The security guard watched as it happened, but they had so many problems with the other kid that they just walked away. So that was one story. The other story was I was walking down the stairs and one of the kids was kicking my backpack as we were walking down the stairs. And that one was funny. I had another buddy come up, meet that guy by the water fountains, toss him on the ground while his girlfriend was screaming to not hurt him. And he got the message that way. But yeah, that's how I did it. I think if I would have been kind to those guys, I would have gotten bullied much, much worse. And that's just my experience. It
Would you have
stopped after
changed?
that happened.
Would you have changed it?
No, not at all.
Do you think it was right?
No, but I don't think what they did was right either. I think that was just an example of a doggy dog world. And it's sad. And they probably both had rough home lives and they probably both had insecurities. But I think that if you don't curb that kind of behavior fast, it only gets worse.
Well, who's to say they didn't continue that behavior with other kids who were more vulnerable than you?
They probably could have. They probably
They
did.
probably did. So whatever you did, yeah, it took care of it with you, but they still continued that pattern. And then it becomes contagious. And then one person gets bullied, and the next person bullies, and then they bully. So like I tried to break the cycle, I think, by just not finding retaliation and just kind of let it happen. And it can really mess with your mentality, your self-worth, your confidence. Pretty sure I had low self-esteem growing up. I was a little bit chubbier, shorter hair, some bad head haircuts going on in those days. So you just don't feel good about yourself. You're awkward. And so when people like that are older than you or your age do stuff like that, it just kind of hurts. You tell your parents, but back then they didn't really get as involved, which was probably a good thing. Like, my mom wasn't happy about it, but at the same time, I think how everything worked was just different. Like they probably contacted my parents about the paper thing, but your parents didn't walk in there and be like, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think today it's a little more, I don't know. It's very different from what I have heard, I would say.
Would you have changed anything?
No, that that person that bullied me quite a bit, no. Her home life was kind of hard. So, you know, her parents had divorced and she had a couple siblings and things were kind of rough and so after my parents divorced and I went through that, I can kind of understand things like that affect kids. And if the parents weren't able to be there and support them in the way that maybe they wanted them to, then yeah, it makes sense that she acted out.
In an alternate reality, do you think you would have felt better if you had a friend to take care of the problem like I did?
No, because I don't think I would still be who I am today. I like to take the
Interesting.
high road. Like that's just how I've always been. Example would be high school softball, super clicky, political, from a small town. My school was 2A. I had about 90 people in my class compared to your, what, four or 500?
Yeah, I was 5A.
So
We
everybody
had
knew
a
every,
hundred
oh,
in our
sorry.
class.
Huh?
We had about 100 kids in our class, and we thought we were a small school.
You had 100 in your
Hun-
class?
yeah, 100 in our class.
How big was your school?
400, 500 kids tops.
Wait, it was small?
Yeah, it was a real small school.
I thought you were in a bigger school. But I
5A.
guess being outside of Chicago in like a burb area was smaller.
That one particular burb that I'm from, yes. If you go one burb over, um, huge school, giant. So 1,000 kids, 2,000 kids,
Wait, but
500
your
each
school
class.
was but your school was a 5A,
hmm We competed in 5A athletics.
but you had multiple high schools and stuff then. That's why.
We had two high schools in our district, yes. But the other school had about
Okay.
2,000 kids also.
So our school was a 2A, and we had one high school, one middle school, one elementary. That's it.
Yeah, it's tiny. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure we were
Okay.
5A. Now I got to look it up while you're talking
Um,
here. But
Yeah, so I had about 90 people in my class. Softball, some parents had played back in the day, et cetera, et cetera. And you should be able to trust your coach. And I've been bullied by coaches too. I don't know if they even realized it. She approached me one time and was like, hey, are things okay at home and stuff like that. It was so awkward. And, parents got their way with their kids starting in varsity, et cetera, et cetera. I only got to play varsity because unfortunately the girl tore her ACL again during a warm up when she's supposed to be playing. She wasn't wearing her knee brace, and boom, it went out again. So I went through hell with softball. It was terrible. I enjoyed the sport itself, but they just never saw the potential I had until later. And then I was asked to be on like was it AAU or ASA or whatever the heck a something.
mhm,
Um, because then they knew I had some potential. But it's just my parents never forced me into doing things or, extra stuff. It was kind of my choice. It was if I wanted to do it. So, you know, having that experience just kind of ruins things for you sometimes because then you start to question yourself and you have these beliefs that you're not good enough, even though you might be.
I agree
So
with that.
my mom many times was like, hey, should I go talk to the coach? Hey, should I complain? Hey, should I do this? And I was like, no, mom, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I think she wanted to, but somehow she kept that self control. Surprising, I know. But
Yes,
yeah,
knowing
and
her, yes.
and I think in the long run, myself dealing with all of this stuff actually made me a better person.
Hmm.
I didn't rely on others to take care of problems for me. I had to figure out how to overcome them.
Genuinely, though, I think I would have been physically hurt a lot worse if I didn't deal with my problem the way I did.
And
So I
and
do have to
that's
add that as a disclaimer.
and that's the question you and I tend to ask each other a lot lately is does it do more harm than good? That's the question you ask yourself to realize what do you do? Is it more
Right.
harm or is it more good in your opinion? And based on your answer and how you feel, then act upon that.
I think that it was very good of me to meet people who didn't, for lack of better terms, take anything from anybody and kind of looked out for the smaller kid who was me at the time. And that's just always what I had done is made best of friends with the guys that were giant and the guys that could just solve your problems. And I still do that, and you know that because
Yeah.
it's very nice to be able to make a phone call and get things taken care of.
But at
And
what point but like
and
what
it,
point do you figure it out for yourself?
I think that was me figuring it out for myself back then because this was also at a time where and I was telling this to a friend the other day, like The reason I ended up so small and malnourished is because we didn't really have money for food, but we made too much for the free lunch program. So
Gotcha.
I was living on fries and a cookie for lunch every day, or maybe a slice of pizza if I was lucky. And so there was no way I would have built enough muscle. There was no money to do it at the time. Now looking back on it, obviously 15 years later, I would have been like, dang, dude, you should have been eating. Like, you know how big you'd be right now? You know how strong you'd be? Because I was in weight training. But that's probably why I got no results because the diet wasn't there. It was a bunch of carbs. There was zero protein. And, we survived. It is what it is. But that makes you a target and you already have low self-esteem because you can't afford to eat. So then you're, kind of hunched over, taking your books and walking around, and somebody who wants to bully you, you're a target. And then you're already broken pretty much and malnourished. One punch, I remember one punch would last 3 weeks in bruises. So again, context is helpful, right? So if I hadn't taken care of the problem the way I did, I don't know if I'd be here.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess looking back, you kind of just brought up some stuff like, back when I was younger, it was a different time, right? And some kids were spanked.
Yeah.
That was me. And, maybe, I feel weird sharing this, but maybe that didn't help my self-esteem, and I think my parents would take that back. I think they would change that. They regret that. But again, if that hadn't have happened, I still don't think I would be the person I am today, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm pretty proud of. So maybe that's what made me more vulnerable. Kind of like for you, you didn't have food being a little bit more poor. Maybe mine was just like I know I was unconditionally loved. Don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of like spurts of that type of thing because then it was just kind of norm, I guess. Now it's not. Not at
No,
all.
no, it's not.
And I think maybe that could have affected my self-esteem, and maybe that's why I started finding comfort in food and things like that that made me feel better when things like that happened, and why I became a chubbier kid.
Yeah.
And then some bad haircuts. I'm called a boy, and there's just a lot of things that happen that kids did, and I think it still happens in schools just in different ways.
Right.
And somehow you have to get out of that bubble, and it takes years and years and years. I think on and off, I'd had really low self-esteem until the past couple of years.
I'd
You?
echo that. Yeah, I'd echo
Yeah.
that.
It's a
Um,
lot of self-discovery to be okay with you and who you are.
well, the only reason I ever walked into that gym was because I was called scrawny by an ex-girlfriend. It's amazing what that does to you and your self-esteem and what you want to become.
Your whole perspective, the perspectives of others that are put upon you then become your beliefs. And when that happens, sometimes we tend to become our own bully.
Hmm.
We start to say those things in our head and repeat them and believe them. Oh my gosh, I am scrawny. Oh, I am fat. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I shouldn't have this job. Oh, yep, this just, nope. That's why I didn't get that because I suck. I'm no good. Not worthy. I'm not loved. These things we tell ourselves, they're lies. It's not true. But we don't know that until we've gone through some hard stuff. And I think the support of other people, friends, family, people that genuinely love you and care for you can change your whole entire world.
I'd agree with that. So all of these wonderful stories and a bunch of trauma dumping aside, what are our actionable steps, Miss Haley, that people can
Oh,
do if they are feeling bullied or if they were bullied? And let's do it one for if it's happening right now, and let's do one for if it happened years ago and you need some help processing it.
I mean, everyone's path is going to be different. do something for yourself. Step, like we talked about, expand your comfort zone a little bit. Like you went into the gym, an unknown place. Uh, I started to learn music at a young age. I think just like finding something that's for you and you only, and learning how to do that skill with practice, repetition, and find love for that, it's going to help you find that uniqueness in yourself, that you are capable of doing something. And I think another pivotal point that we have just kept talking about was 75 hard. I think
Mhm.
being able to get through that just took our mentality to a whole nother level. Did I ever think I would be the coach I am today? No, no, absolutely not. I didn't have that belief. But did I give up? No. I kept learning, I kept trying, I kept asking other people, coworkers, and kept practicing. And you just figure it out as you go. So I guess my one piece of advice is not great, but find something for you. Find what you love. Try things out and just keep trying. Find some self-love, self-worth.
I think that's good advice. I'd echo that. I would also say, obviously, disclaimer, if you are physically in danger, please get help. Call the cops. But outside of that, if it's happening now and it's an unconventional way, and if you need to make some friends to take care of a problem, I won't kill you for it. Just start to take care of those problems on your own. Stand up for yourself. Make sure that you know that you are worthwhile as a person and use that to your advantage. If it has happened years ago and you need help processing it, physical activity is a great way to do it. Any sort of mental health challenges, like 75 hard was a mental toughness challenge that was very recommended from us. But as echoing Haley's advice, do something for yourself and make sure that you know that you're cared for. But you have to have the self, going back to our big topic, yourself first. Make sure that
Yeah.
you have that self compassion, self love. Try to build onto those things and it will compound down the road. And you might, I don't know, be content eventually. You never know.
Yeah. Just keep fighting. And if you need help, reach out and try to find a therapist or a support system, a group, community, just someone that can kind of corral and help bring you back up out of whatever darkness you're in. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're sitting here today. That's why, we started the Rise Up Odyssey, the challenge. We just want to be there to support people.
Yep.
We've been through the ringer here and there.
Once or twice. But yeah, that's pretty much exactly why we started it. A lot of that stuff was real painful and I didn't really want to talk about it. And I'm sure you didn't either. But
No.
if we can help one person, it'll be
It's
worth
kind of
it.
yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable, very, very vulnerable to say, yeah, like this happened to me. It's kind of some shame, embarrassment happening with that too, but it happened. I am not gonna lie about it either. That's one of my core values.
Yeah, honesty is the best policy. I think we made a whole episode on that.
Okay, stop tying all this in.
It's what I'm here for. I'm just the
But yeah,
entertainment.
but yeah, I do feel bullying can get out of hand. And if you feel like you're in a situation, do find a way out.
Yeah, there is a way out, even if you don't feel like there is right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Man, that was still really rough. How do we end this show? I'm gonna let you find a way to tie that back. 'Cause that got real dark.
Did it? I think it's just real. I think this is real life. Like right now, you and I have had many, many conversations about friends and family that are struggling with mental health right now. And we always call this dark, but it's real. It's real life right now. People are struggling. And we feel that on certain days where we just feel bogged down and almost in a depression or a lot of anxiety or just inner feels. And it's normal. It's part of being human. And so all I can say is just talk about it. Let it be. Acknowledge it. I I don't know, mental health is a crisis right now, and everyone's like, oh no, like it's not real, or it's a stigma, or this, and it's like, I don't know, it's here. I see it, I feel it, I hear it.
I think we all do. I
Yeah.
think since COVID, I mean, honestly, since probably 2015, but since COVID specifically, everything's kind of just ramped up. I don't know if you remember this, but maybe like 2015, 2016, 2017, like you'd hear an occasional sad news story, you know? Like an occasional, oh my gosh, this terrible thing happened in the world. But now it's like every single day. Like we become desensitized to it. That's sad.
But is that true, or we were just not as aware in those days?
I don't think we were as aware, but I think that was better for everyone, to be honest. I don't think humans were meant to know what tragedy happened 8,000 miles away.
Oh, this sounds like a whole nother topic.
I'm trying to tie it into the next one. It's exactly what I'm doing here.
Like the news, social media, and
Uh-huh.
how they
How it
can
messes your mental health.
corrupt. Yeah, it's great. But yeah, overall, I think that's good for this episode. We'll put in the notes about the book build for tomorrow. I know I didn't share much about it, but you can at least check it out in the meantime if you catch this episode. It's my second time going through it. The first time it didn't resonate with me. I was in a different point in life, so I think now it's going to be more relevant. But I guess we'll find out in the next few episodes and get Danny on board here.
And we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll try.
We'll try. Oh man, my Zoom timer is telling me we're almost done. So
Yep.
let's conclude this.
I'm gonna go eat dinner soon. Yeah.
Yes, that's probably a good idea for everybody.
Yeah.
This has been episode five, six,
Six.
six, six,
Six.
six
Six.
of the Rise Up Odyssey podcast. I'm your host, Danny, with my co-host Haley. Have a good night, y'all, and don't
See you
get
guys.
bullied.